अरे अब इसको उसमें इसका वो कैसे करूं? स्क्रीन दिख रहा है आपको?
नहीं सर, स्क्रीन नहीं आ रहा सर आपका।
शेयर करता हूं। हाँ,
शेयर स्क्रीन।
शेयर करता हूं तो मेरे यहां से गायब हो जाता है।
इसको सर, स्क्रीन को सर मिनिमाइज कीजिए।
एक मिनट, यू आर शेयरिंग स्क्रीन तो बोल रहा है।
सर आपका स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रहा है, बट आपको पीपीटी ओपन कीजिए। आपने पीपीटी ओपन नहीं करा हुआ अपना।
पीपीटी नीचे मिनिमाइज किया हुआ है, करता हूं। Unless I send you the cases in advance. So I have not received any email ID. So please do that, because next time we have to discuss a case. Even in today's talk, there is a case, but then I put it in the slides itself so that at least some discussion can happen. But for a case study, as you are aware, that, immediately reading it and responding to it doesn't make sense. It has to be, read by you earlier than when we are discussing. So please make sure that you send your email IDs to me. And when others join in, kindly remind me in the middle of the session. I'll repeat what I am saying now so that there is no confusion. Next time we definitely have to discuss a proper case. Today also there is a small case, right? Okay, so I think it is 5 minutes past 6, so we need to begin. In the first two sessions, the first one was, of course, an introduction to the subject of OD. And then, of course, in the second one, we looked at 3 of the methods of OD. Now today, the other methods, there are a total of 7 listed. 3 were listed for the previous session, and 4, as you can see on screen, there are 4 that we are going to discuss today, right? So the first one, as you can see, is sensitivity training. And very, very briefly, of course, I have slides on that, and I'll explain to you a little more in detail. So sensitivity training is not about knowledge at all. Sensitivity training is about understanding your own behavior and the behavior of others. How you react to people or interact with people, how others interact with you, what kind of impressions you give to them, and things of that kind, right? So obviously, when you are talking in terms of OD, you have to bring about a lot of changes in the organization. And in the very first session, we discussed that broadly changes. One part is the structural change that you bring in terms of technology or timing and things like that. The second part of the change, of course, is the human behavior. And I also mentioned that doing one without the other normally will not work. Every structural change has to have some kind of a behavioral change, which is called process intervention. So every structural intervention will have a process intervention component, and every process intervention component will have a structural intervention component. So sensitivity training is all about those behavioral understandings and then deriving the benefit out of that understanding. The second one is a concept of managerial grid, which is talked about in leadership a lot. So this is based on the understanding that every objective that you want to arrive at or reach in an organization, you will have to have some kind of a concern for the work in hand, and at the same time, you also have to be concerned about the people who will help you to get that work done. So this is a play between the task objectives. It could be production objectives. When in fact this model was developed, it was all about production because manufacturing was the key then. But today in the service industry, you can easily replace the word production. As you will see in the model, I have retained the original when we come to that. that is production. So you can convert that into task. So whenever you have to achieve task, you will be having a team of people to do that for you. And team building we did last time. So what is the balance you have to maintain between these two, the task concerns and the people concerns, that we will see in the managerial grade. The third part is, of course, anything that you do in OD, and there is in the very first file, as you know, my habit, for each topic I create a separate file. So when you get to see file 01, there is a talk of this, that every OD has to operate through a process, right? In fact, is it okay? Am
Yes,
I
sir.
audible?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I? अच्छा, ये क्या हो गया था, सब लोग म्यूट हो गए?
सर आपका नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम आ रही है सर, कुछ
प्रॉब्लम आ रही है?
आपके नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम में कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही है सर।
अब ठीक है?
यस सर, ये सब ठीक है।
तो अभी क्या करूं, फिर से शेयर स्क्रीन?
यस सर, यस सर।
ओके, अब क्या है नेक्स्ट? शेयर
पीपीटी, पीपीटी।
पीपीटी पे क्लिक करूं?
यस।
आ रही है अब?
नहीं सर, अभी नहीं आया।
अब आई है?
एक मिनट, जस्ट अ मिनट सर। नहीं, अभी नहीं। हाँ सर, आ गया सर।
आ गया ना? ओके, ओके। Okay. So we were discussing about the quality circles. Now, quality circle concept is an interesting concept where the basic belief is that because all of us want a quality product, so somebody who is involved in creating that product, that means an operator of a machine who is actually creating a laptop or a car, because he or she works on it regularly, that person knows the intricacies of the work more than others. And therefore, if we put a small group of people who are familiar with those machines or that process, and they are allowed to interact amongst themselves, they can come up with solutions which even their bosses or experts cannot, because they are right there where the activity is happening. So they know best. That is the model on which quality circles are based. So this is a brief on the four. Now let us get into the detailing. So before I show you the concept of sensitivity training in as I have put in the slides, let me share my personal experience of my first exposure personally. I was doing it for other employees of Escorts, but I also got an opportunity to be a part of that process later. And when I went into the process of sensitivity training, that means I actually attended a session on that. And remember, sensitivity training sessions are longish sessions, and these are typically called human process labs. Like you do experimentation in a laboratory, exactly in the same way, this is a human process experimentation. So the essentials of this is that if you have paper and pencil, you can just put down briefly. The group size is very small. Normally does not exceed 10, 11 people, right? Max 12. So that is the first thing. The second thing is that there is no homogeneity needed. People can be there from 18 years of age to 80 or 90 years of age. They can be working at different levels. They may be from different qualification, criteria. Somebody may be an engineer, somebody may be an MBA, somebody may not be a plain BCom or whatever. So a mix of people, no problem, because it is a human aspect of it that we are interested in, not the technical aspects of it. So you are typically called in once you sign up for one such program, which is called the Human Process Lab. It is typically held in a residential kind of environment, could be a hotel, could be a hostel, etc., where there is no such timings that I have to catch a chartered bus at this time or I have to go home at this time. So you are very comfortably placed, and even if the sessions go on late, that should not worry you. So because human processes don't follow a strict timetable like you have in other sessions, 6 to 7:15 or whatever. So I go there and I'm describing my own experience. So you are typically expected to check in one day before. So the evening before that you check in. For example, if it starts on Monday and it's a 5 or 6 day program, mine was a 6 day program throughout the week. So Sunday evening I check in and you have your evening tea or dinner depending on the time, and you are allocated your rooms, and you are told strictly that you are supposed to introduce yourself only by name. You are not supposed to give out any other detail. You are a human being and name is your identity. That's about it. So that there is no positional value. You are a general manager, somebody is an executive, somebody is a vice president, nothing matters. You are a human being and this is your name. So after that you move to your rooms and all, and you are told, okay, tomorrow morning 9 such and such place, that means within the premises of the hotel or hostel, is where we meet at 9. So you land up there at 9, and the first shocker you get is there are no tables, no chairs, nothing. Those of you who have ever been to a mushaira would know the front, back there may be chairs and all. In the front there are massive gaddas, and these people are called farshis, which means farsh pe baithe hue. So wahan pe the first shocker is that there is the entire room is filled up with these very comfortable thick gaddas on which you sit, and there are lots of bolsters. Bolsters is that round pillow, longish round pillow that you have, so that you can sit comfortably, lean on them, whatever. No dress code is specified. You can wear whatever you want to. There is no place assigned. Like in a training program, typically you have nameplates given and this table and this and that and all. So this is a biggish kind of room where probably in a normal program 30 people could easily sit, but here we are only 10 or 12 and spread out. So you can spread out like that. If somebody wants to lie down, freedom is completely theirs. And these, whichever is the venue, is typically a self-contained sort of a room, which means you have washroom inside. You have a little, tea coffee maker kind of thing. You have some small knickknacks, biscuits, namkeen, etc. Basic idea is whatever you normally would need, when you sit for a long time, they are all provided within the room. The idea is that no one should feel the need to leave the room. So that is the setting. So you go there and sit. So it is already 9:05, 9:10. You know, of course, who the facilitator is. We don't call them trainers. In sensitivity training, they're typically called facilitators. So the facilitator is also there, the lady or gentleman, whoever, but is not speaking a word. You're just sitting there. So typically, luckily, I had some experience of this because I was helping others to undergo this. But people who come for this thing for the first time, they find it very, very odd. No one is speaking. The facilitator is sitting quiet, not initiating anything. Why are we here? And the thought of it that, we have to sit silent for some 6 days or something is crazy. So obviously, after about 10-15 minutes, somebody or the other gets a little restless and asks the facilitator, Mr. Such and Such or Sir, Ma'am, whatever, why don't we start? We are all here. So the guy says, I am not Sir, I am not Ma'am, tells the name, this is my name, which we generally know beforehand that the facilitator is such and such person. And then says, well, you start. So obviously, that person is taken aback. Sir, what do we start? And then the facilitator says, whatever you feel like. So everybody is getting confused. What is this? Yeah. So then again, somebody else, tries to start the process. But sir, I am not sir, I am such and such, or I am not ma'am, I am such and such. XYZ. So that is where it's very, very awkward. First half an hour, 45 minutes. You don't know what to do. You don't know what you will be doing for 6 days. There is no agenda, no nothing at all. It's so crazy. So when people find, and obviously in a random group, there would be some people who are very cool. They have no issues. They are sitting there. Somebody has picked up a coffee. Somebody has picked up a soft drink, whatever. That is all going on. But some people are very restless. So they will say, सच एंड सच नाम लेके फैसिलिटेटर का कि ये तो कुछ कराएंगे नहीं, चलो हम ही कुछ करते हैं. So then somebody will ask, okay, क्या करते हैं? Then somebody will say कि अंताक्षरी खेलते हैं. I mean, it is just that random communication that happens in a random group. Then somebody will object, क्या ये 6 दिन यहाँ पे हम अंताक्षरी खेलने आए हैं? So then somebody else will pipe in, अरे बाबा, उन्होंने कुछ suggest तो किया, आप बताओ क्या करना चाहिए फिर? So it's that kind of a communication or conversation which just about begins. And mind you, the facilitator is absolutely quiet. Somebody in the meantime, just to check out, says, may I leave the room for a while? He says, well, it is your wish. So, no answers are coming from the facilitator. So you will be amazed to hear, and those of the people who have not been through such a workshop, even I couldn't have imagined, even though I was administratively monitoring these, that such a clumsy kind of a beginning can lead to a situation where by the 3rd, 4th day, you are so engrossed in communication, so engrossed in talking something or the other, that you don't even realize raat ke 3 baj gaye. And then, when you feel very sleepy, then you break off, and then again morning 9, you are back. So that is the kind of intensity of interaction that happens, which is very, very difficult for me to describe. And till about the 4th day or so, the facilitator has hardly any contribution to make. That is the beauty of, amazing patience they show. It's all happening among the participants, right? So that is what sensitivity training is all about. After you have gone through the slides, and I'll sum it up towards the end, what happens. This is the beginning, okay? regroup. And call in the first also I used to say that if there is red somewhere in the middle of the slide, my headings are always red, but if there is a red in the middle of the slide, that is a key point. And there are very few reds in the middle. Okay. So as you can see in para 1 itself, the red part says it is an unstructured group interaction. I gave you the introduction through my own experience of attending this training, which explains to you what unstructured group interaction is. Also, it is known by various different names. In fact, if my memory serves me right, the very first name that was given to it was T group, which was simply training group, because the creators of this method, somewhere in the late 40s, did not understand. They were psychologists basically, who did not have an appropriate name to give. It was unstructured group interaction, yes. So later on, as the patterns emerged, the name sensitivity training came up, which is now quite popular. In India, there is one active organization which does that, jisse maine kiya tha, that's called ISAPS, Indian Society for Applied Behavioral Sciences, IA, Indian Society, ISABS, Applied Behavioral Sciences, right? There used to be another group called ISISD, but I don't hear much of them now. So that was Indian Society for Individual and Social Development, ISISD. So you can look up the Google if you want for ISAPS. Okay. So it is also called encounter group. It is also called laboratory training. Why encounter group? Because people are constantly interacting. And as I said, look back at the interaction I gave you, that example, that if I propose that let us play Antakshari, and another one pipes in with chess, then Antakshari khelne ke liye aaye hain, isn't it an encounter? It's like the India, China, India, Pakistan, India, Nepal that is happening right now. There is an encounter. People are having different viewpoints. Someone suggests something, someone wants to do something else. Someone doesn't like the idea, someone likes the idea. There is support coming from some. अरे बाबा उन्होंने कुछ अच्छा सा बोला तो चलो, तो आपको नहीं पसंद तो आप बताओ क्या करें. So that kind of gives you the feel why it is called a laboratory training or an encounter group. An encounter group it is also called because sensitivity training is done in a variety of ways, and I have done it in my organizations, both DCM and Escorts, where I was kind of moderating a mini session. I am not qualified enough to hold a full 6-day thing. But what we used to do there, and which is very important in OD, is that let us say we have a group of 6 HODs of the 6 departments that we have. So we would invite them over, and if it is a 1-day session, we will allocate 1 hour for each person, right? This is one variant of sensitivity training. And interestingly, but the rules are opposite of what normally happens. If you are given an itinerary in which Mr. A or Miss B is supposed to speak, is given the time frame of 10 to 11, it is expected that that person will speak for that time. And then the others can ask questions. Like here, 6 to 7, I am supposed to speak, and 7 to 7:15, you are supposed to ask questions. But in sensitivity training, it is exactly the opposite. So this gentleman or lady, the HOD, who has been allocated 10 to 11, that person is supposed to keep absolutely quiet during that time. And to make it more impacting, what we do is make this person sit in the center, and the other 5 HODs will sit around him or her in a circle, right? And because the person who's sitting in the middle is not supposed to speak, all the other HODs will tell him or her the kind of grievances or the kind of interactions that their department has been having with A's department, who is sitting in the center, right? That means they can give all negatives. No, we are not getting cooperation from your department. This is happening, that is happening. My guys tried to contact you, wrote letters to you, nothing has happened. Inter-office memos have been sent, etc., etc. But that person is not supposed to speak out. So that is the sensitivity, which means if I am that HOD sitting in the middle, I was always thinking I am doing a great job of my department. But here are 5 people who are co-department heads. They don't seem to be happy at all. Now that would set me thinking as to what improvements I have to bring in my department. That is the sensitization that is caused, right? So now you would understand better why it is called encounter groups. And there are various other terms like this: encounter groups, family groups, etc., etc. So that is the essence of sensitivity training. Now coming to the purpose of it in the end. Now you can quickly go through. We don't have much time to discuss all this, but I'll summarize sensitivity training because we have to do 3 other methods also. As you can see in the end of this slide, overtly rejects any leadership role. The facilitator is not a leader in this role. Okay. Now, I think most of you would have joined in, whoever wanted to join in today. Please send me your email IDs because I have to send you a case study, which will be discussed next time. The next topic, on topic 4, we need to discuss that case study. So please send in your email IDs, and ideally collected at one place rather than my having to search for all of that. Okay. So if you look at what I have told you so far, the whole idea is that I get a feedback about my behavior from others, and they also will get a feedback about their behavior towards me. So it has nothing to do with knowledge. It is about how I affect others by my behavior, how others affect me by my behavior. Okay. So we are not supposed to share the negatives I saw of my other participants, but the only negative that came out of for me, I can share. Somewhere on the 4th day, one elderly gentleman, I was pretty young then. So this elderly gentleman makes a comment: Sumit, you are excellent company for happy occasions, but I get a feeling that you will land up at if you have to go for a sad occasion, like unfortunately Sushant Singh Rajput, you all know. So the cremation part of it. So he very clearly tells me that you are excellent for a happy occasion, but if you have to go for a sad occasion, you will land up at a cremation also laughing. Now this was a pretty hard-hitting statement for me. But then the beauty of T group training is that you have got the feedback. No one is forcing you to change, but it sets you thinking, and it did. As you know, you have interacted with me in the classes. You know I am more rational, probably 75-80% rational, and only about 20% emotional, right? But the point is that majority of the people in this world are emotional. They are 80% emotional and 20% rational. So my approach to life was, and even today, part of it is very much there, though with maturity, I understand now today, I am very clear that as far as my behavior is concerned, I will be rational. But when it comes to analyzing others' behavior, I will not expect them to be rational. That is a very, very key learning. For example, in those days and even now, the feeling inside me is the same. For example, if somebody came to me with a problem, somebody has been ditched by a girlfriend or boyfriend, my approach used to be, well, friend, this has been happening all the time. You are not the first one who has been ditched. You are not going to be the last one who has been ditched. So come on, yeah, move on with life. But so I would use to probably say this straight away without realizing that for that person, his or her mind state is different. I may take it like that. My personality may be like that. But for that person, the entire world is lost. So I have to be more sensitive in handling that person. Inside, I may still feel the same, and it is a fact. Everybody knows that everyday affairs are getting created and broken, right? So this is, but for that point in time, for the emotional people, it is, like life is not worth living. So I have to be more sensitive to that. Others are not going to behave the way I am because their personalities are different. And remember, now in OD, we are dealing virtually with the entire workforce. So if you are not sensitive to others' feelings, how will you get things done? So that is the essence. And that is what the facilitator does virtually on the last day. Like, he gave me a clear feedback that you are a thinking person for this reason. And you appear to be insensitive for this reason, though I fully understand that rationally you are right, which is exactly my personality. So the facilitator comes in end of 5th day or 6th day, last day virtually, to give a feedback to all the people as to how much they are a feeling person and how much they are a thinking person, and then doesn't tell you that you have to change. It is for you to analyze after you go out of that training and change if you wish to change. So the change that has happened in me is I have become more sensitive when I hear others' problems. Not that internally I have changed. I still feel rationality does much more in life than emotionality. And anyone who is willing to discuss that, I do that and try to prove my point. Right? But the other's behavior is not in my control, is a very clear thing that one understands. Right? So if you remember, one of the examples I used to give is that you have chosen to be a vegetarian, perfectly fine. I respect you for that. But where you go wrong is you go into a jungle and expect the tiger and the lion to become a vegetarian and not eat you up. That is the problem. You have to be realistic about others' behavior. You may whatever you are. You have entire freedom, so long as you don't harm others, to behave in the way you want to with yourself. Right? Okay. So now we come to the second concept of a managerial grid. Now the managerial grid as a model, and you will see the diagram and you will understand that, came up because of the earlier researches. Two prominent universities in the US, the Michigan State Studies and the Ohio State Studies. These are both universities in the US, Ohio and Michigan. These universities, they were carrying out a lot of studies on leadership and followership, and how they started with so many different parameters, thousands of parameters, and studied them deeply, and ultimately they created two major, they termed it differently, but they created two major parameters. One is relating to the task as such, the other is relating to the people that are there with you. Just to give you an example, there is a story of a mining superintendent. Okay. So this mining superintendent obviously is the head of that mine, and it's a huge mine where some 300, 400 truckloads of ore, you understand ore, no? The raw material for extracting metals, iron or aluminium or whatever. So there are 300-400 trucks of raw material dug up from the mine, and these are dispatched to the factory for creation of steel or aluminium or whatever. So this mining superintendent is taking a round in the mine, and his assistant runs after and reaches him. He has got a phone call, these were those days, that one of the truck drivers, John, his truck has met with a major accident. So he runs to and finds the mining superintendent and tells him, sir, John's truck has met with an accident. This is the information he conveys. Now this mining superintendent responds saying, oh my God, then though there would be a shortage of raw material in the factory, and ensure that one extra truck is dispatched immediately so that the manufacturing process does not get affected. Okay. Now this kind of a boss, when you look at, you can see that he is very, very task oriented. He's totally devoted to the task. But this man does not even ask, how is John? Right? So this kind of a boss, would you call this such a boss as a great boss who is not concerned about the people working for him? This is one extreme, completely task oriented. On the other hand, let me give you another example. When you would have been kids, there used to be a car called Esteem. And the Esteem ad on TV, it used to show a young father who has some 7-8-year-old son. So he has bought an Esteem, the father that is, and drives it back home. And the son is very thrilled with the car. So as the father parks the car, the son rushes out, and then the father remembers that today was the result day. So he asks his son, hey, how much in maths? And the son, little uncomfortable because he has failed in maths. So he says 33 or 38 or something. And the reaction of the father is, oh, there's always next time. Come sit, let's go for a drive. Now, a father and an 8-year-old son, 7-year-old son, who is playing the leadership role, it's very obvious. Later in life, maybe the son is grown up and he's earning and whatever, and more intelligent, more educated, whatever. He may take a leadership role, but we are talking of a 7-year-old. So the father is decidedly the leader. Now here what happens? What was the task of the son? The task of the son was to pass the exam which he has failed. But the father is completely the people side of it. He wants to make his son comfortable. That's perfectly fine. But what about the task? So both these leadership styles have some shortcomings or quite a bit of shortcoming. The mining superintendent is only task oriented, no concern for people. And the father with the Esteem car has all the concern for the people, that is his son in this case, but zero concern for the task. These are not examples of great leaders, and that is what we see in the managerial grid, which, as I said, is a development of two major researchers, the Ohio State Studies and the Michigan State Studies. So managerial grid was developed by Robert Blake and Jane Moulton, right? Here it is. Robert Blake, don't confuse, don't write black, huh? It is B-L-A-K-E. Robert Blake and his research colleague, Jane Moulton, she is a lady. So they created this out of the previously known things of the Ohio and the Michigan State Studies. So now let us go systematically. The diagram looks very complicated, but it is not if you follow step by step. First of all, go to the x-axis. As you know, x-axis is the independent axis, the horizontal axis. What do you see written there? Concern for production. As I told you, this was a research of the late 50s and early 60s. So that time there was hardly any service industry worth the name. So production was the key. It was all manufacturing. And therefore, they use the word production, and their studies were entirely done in factories. So, you can very easily replace the word production by task. So, this is originally called the managerial grade, but then it is also now known as the leadership grade. So, I have given both the names. So, and if somebody says simple managerial grade, it again means the same thing. Robert Blake and Jane Moulton's grade. Now, what they did was, as you can see on the x-axis, they created a scale of 1 to 9, not 0 to 9. Why? Because in human behavior, there is nothing 0, there is nothing 100%. I may be predominantly rational, but that does not mean I'm zero emotional. That cannot happen. Human beings will always be a mix. We are not a mathematical formula. Okay. So 1 is least concern for task, as you can see the word low written there, and 9 is high concern for task. So typically, that mining superintendent will fall under very high task. That is, he is 9 on task, but 1 on people. And that kind of a formulation, that kind of a personality is called the 9-1 style. As you can see, these are 5 prominent positions which have been identified here. 9-1, as you can see, authority, compliance. I am the boss. I have the authority to dictate, to tell you what you have to do, and follow my orders. People are not very relevant here. Work has to be done. So as you can see what is written below that, efficiency in operation results from arranging conditions of work in such a way that human elements interfere to a minimum degree. People are not important. The task has to be accomplished, irrespective of what. So you can call them the authoritarian leader, the dictatorial leader, whatever you want. On that scale, if there is a 1 scenario, that means task he is not concerned with. At the same time, he is not even concerned with the people. What is happening to them? Then it's a 1-1 situation, termed appropriately as the impoverished management. What is impoverished? जिसको खाना नहीं मिलता. तो इस टाइप का लीडरशिप स्टाइल या मैनेजरियल स्टाइल क्या है? Right? It has no food in it. It has no energy in it. So exertion of minimum effort to get required work done is appropriate to sustain organization membership. That is 1-1 scenario. ना तो प्रोडक्शन के लिए कोई चिंता है, ना पीपल के लिए कोई चिंता है. But there is an exception. आप बिहेवियर के किसी भी चीज को totally right या totally wrong नहीं बोल सकते. Normally this will be wrong, no doubt. But there are exceptions. And if you remember your first term, why I tried to differentiate between Ram and Krishna? Both were ethical, but their styles were different. Because by the time Krishna came in, life had moved from the Treta era to the Dwapar era, and there were much more complex human beings. Mahabharata is a much more, please get over this thing of just having a fast on Ram Navami or Janmashtami or whatever. Get into the messages that they convey. That is more important. So, if you look at the complexity of Mahabharata and its characters, that was the complexity of life. And today we are on the verge of Kali Yuga. So you again find much more complicated people than ever you find in Mahabharata. The person who you think is the closest to you is cheating. Those kind of things are happening. So ethics have gone for a 6. And we have to relate to that and still lead our life. So there is a situation possible. For example, nowadays, Corona, earlier it was AIDS or whatever. So Corona, supposing there is a Corona Research Institute, where scientists and doctors and chemists and pharmacists and all are involved in day in and day out research on this. It's a very big problem for human beings, and research is going on. Now, if they are all very competent people, and if they are very committed people, they are doing their work nicely, but no one can say. It might take one day, it might take 3 years or 10 years, who knows. So research is like that. So you need to have committed people and competent people who are doing the research, and there the director of the institute or research lab or whatever must give them full liberty, not repeatedly ask them on task. That is embarrassing for them because they are doing their job, and in any scientific research, no one can ever predict when the results will come. So here in these situations, the boss can take a role which is positive, where he does not show too much of concern for task. He knows that the people are committed, and whenever they can find the right things, they will come to me. And he also need not show too much of concern for people all the time. They are dedicated, committed to their work, and hence they need not be repeatedly called for meetings and things of that kind. That is how that leader can operate. So there is a positivity in that also, only in some given situations. But in the normal course, it will be treated as a bad management style. ना तो आप task के बारे में सोच रहे हैं, ना बंदों के बारे में सोच रहे हैं. When you're concerned, now the esteem ad, car ad father, total concern for the person. So 9 on the Y scale, the Y axis, where you can see concern for people. So 9 is high and 1 is low here also. So this father had maximum concern for his son's happiness, but was not showing his concern for the task that had to be performed. So he will be rated as 1-9. Country club management, again a very appropriate term. Why do you go for a go to a club? To enjoy life, not to do some work, right? So thoughtful attention to the needs of people. He is making his child happy for satisfying relationships. According to such kind of a father, I don't need to really ask about the task. वो अपने आप हो जाएगा या ये समझ जाएगा अपने आप. But the unfortunate reality is कि ऐसा नहीं होता है. जो चाइल्ड को आपने 40 लाने पे कुछ नहीं कहा, वो अगली बार 30 ले आएगा, राइट? सेम विथ फैक्ट्री. इफ यू डोंट से कि प्रोडक्शन लो हो रहा है, भाई क्या चक्कर है, इतनी क्वालिटी प्रॉब्लम्स क्यों आ रही है, लेट अस सिट डाउन एंड वर्क इट आउट, तो वो भी ढील करते जाएंगे. तो दीज आर द 3 एक्सट्रीम पोजीशंस. नाउ वी कम टू, फिर हमें चलना किस रास्ते है. नाउ गो टू द बेस्ट पॉसिबल ऑप्शन 9-9, which they have termed as team management. क्योंकि आप टास्क के लिए भी फुल कंसर्न रखते हैं, आप लोगों के लिए भी फुल कंसर्न रखते हैं. सो वर्क अकम्प्लिशमेंट इज फ्रॉम कमिटेड पीपल, इंटरडिपेंडेंस थ्रू कॉमन स्टेक इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, which leads to relationships of ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पर्पस की तरफ जब हम मिलके काम करते हैं, it leads to relationships of trust and respect. That is an ideal situation, and organization is a team. So therefore a big team, right? So OD में this concept will help हमें कैसे लोगों को 9-9 की तरफ लेके जाना है on this grade. And 5-5 is exactly the middle point, where you are concerned about people and tasks equally, but not as much as you should be. ये वही 60-70% marks वाली बात है, 90 नहीं है आप, right? So that is the essence of this model called managerial grid. Okay? So इसके ऊपर एक मैंने बोला था आपको केस स्टडी है. टाइम परमिटिंग इन द एंड वील कम बैक, बिकॉज अभी 2 कॉन्सेप्ट्स हमें और करना है, नहीं तो आप नेक्स्ट टाइम इसको प्रिपेयर कर लीजिएगा. दिस इज रिलेटेड टू अ लीडरशिप एग्जाम्पल एंड देयर आर क्वेश्चंस, जिसमें हम सारे मॉडल्स तो नहीं करेंगे यहाँ पे, but you will get some idea from here. बाकी मॉडल्स छोड़ दीजिए, रेडी, इनर्शिया, ब्लैंचार्ड we have not done, but Blake and Moulton मॉडल को कैसे आप अप्लाई करेंगे इस सिचुएशन, which is why I was asking for your email IDs. third concept that we are supposed to do today is process consultation. Okay. As you can see, the first sentence itself explains it. No organization operates perfectly. No human being operates perfectly. So managers can often sense that the unit's performance can be improved, right? And ये first term में भी मैंने कुछ बताया था आपको, जब training needs की analysis करते हैं तो the actual performance is less than the expected performance. That is when you get into analyzing as to where we are going wrong. Same situation. So the purpose of process consultation is for an outside consultant to assist a client. We have on the first day understood that an OD consultant can be an outsider or an insider. We also discussed what are the pluses and minuses of each. Typically, people opt for an outside consultant. So the outside consultant is supposed to assist a client, usually a manager, general manager, vice president, whoever, or a team, to perceive, understand, and act upon process events which the manager must deal with. These could include workflow ठीक नहीं हो रहा, informal relationships में गड़बड़ है, और जो communication channels हैं हमारे formal वो ठीक से काम नहीं कर रहे. Remember always that आप कितना ही चाहें कि सारा कुछ communication सिर्फ formal channels से हो, कहीं ना कहीं informal relationships और informal channels operate करेंगी. वो भी एक reality है. कभी ना कभी informal communication से rumors भी create होंगी. You have to handle those aspects of an organization also while doing OD. Okay? आप नहीं रोक सकते. अगर कोई मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी है मार्केटिंग डिपार्टमेंट का और फाइनेंस डायरेक्टर है जिनका कोई लिंक नहीं है फॉर्मली इन द रेजिडेंशियल कॉम्प्लेक्स, संडे को वहां पे अपने रेजिडेंस की क्रिकेट होती है, तो ये मार्केटिंग का मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी एंड फाइनेंस का वाइस प्रेसिडेंट दे मे बी प्लेइंग इन द सेम मैच. कोई वहां पे कोई ओकेजन होगा नेबर का तो वहां पे भी मिलेंगे, तो वो ऑफिस की बात होएगी, आप रोक नहीं सकते उसको. तो उस रियलिटी को एक्सेप्ट करिए. So OD consultant will guide them to understand that सिर्फ formal communication में जो हो रहा है that is not enough. You have to also pay attention to informally क्या चल रहा है. So process consultation is similar to sensitivity training, which believes that organizational effectiveness can be improved if you deal with interpersonal problems in a better manner. Okay. So consultants are there to give the client the insights into what is going on around him, जिसकी वो उसको समझ नहीं आ रही. वो तो सोच रहा है कि मेरे को सब ठीक हो रहा है, सब कुछ मैं करता हूँ, फिर भी ये इनफैक्ट पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप्स में भी ये प्रॉब्लम आती है. मैं तो सब कुछ उसके लिए अच्छा किया पर उसने फिर भी ये किया. कभी आपने उसको पूछा कि भाई जो मैं कर रहा हूँ वो आपको ठीक लग रहा है कि नहीं? We imagine, we assume, and assumption is the biggest problem, because when you use the word assume, ASS के बाद एक डंडी लगा दीजिए, U के बाद एक डंडी लगा दीजिए, तो me बच जाता है. So when you assume, you are making an ass of you and me both. So assumptions नहीं लेना चाहिए. And the fundamental premises, अगर आपको मुझे motivate करना है, तो मेरी जो unsatisfied needs हैं, उनसे आप मुझे motivate कर सकते हो, मेरे satisfied needs से नहीं करते हो. Unfortunately, again, I have to mention this for you to understand. Lot of emotional people, for example, suppose I fall sick, right? I am having fever or something. Now, a typical emotional person's reaction would be, oh, बीमार हो, अच्छा मैं गाड़ी भेज दूं, ड्राइवर भेज दूं, ये करूं, अरे भैया मुझे नहीं चाहिए गाड़ी ड्राइवर, मेरे पास भी है, मुझे पैसे नहीं चाहिए, मैं तो आराम करना चाहता हूं. You should rather ask कि तुम्हें क्या चाहिए, क्या मैं तुम्हें जो चाहिए वो दे सकता हूं, दे सकती हूं या नहीं. That is what will motivate me. So this, unfortunately, we are not brought up to understand. हम जंप कर जाते हैं, जिसको हम प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं अपने तरीके से. वी आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू सी द प्रॉब्लम फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ द पर्सन. और इसी को बोला जाता है पुटिंग योरसेल्फ इन the problem with us is we try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes without taking off our shoes. तो confusion तो होगा, कैसे आएगा वो मेरे पैर में, literally speaking. So basic idea is कि मेरे को अपने दिमाग से हटना पड़ेगा, आपका दिमाग समझना पड़ेगा, और उस दिमाग की थिंकिंग के हिसाब से मुझे सोचना है कि मैं कैसे आपको गाइड करूं. Right? So they do not solve organizational problem. The consultant is a guide or a coach who advises on the process to help the client solve his or her own problems. वही वाली बात है कि डॉक्टर जो है वो दवाई तो नहीं खा सकता ना आपके लिए, वो तो आपको गाइड कर सकता है. दवाई तो आप ही को खानी है, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व तो आपको करनी है अपने हेल्थ की. सो इसी की थोड़ी डिटेल्स हैं कि कंसल्टेंट कैसे काम करता है. डायग्नोसिस ये हम पहले दिन बड़े डिटेल में कर चुके हैं. एंड द एम्फोसिस ऑन द वर्ड जॉइंटली, ये भी मैं पहले डे ही एम्फसाइज कर चुका हूं कि ओडी में हर चीज जॉइंटली होती है. तो क्लाइंट में जो स्किल आपको मिसिंग लगती है वो आप सप्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं, और आपको इस स्टेज तक उसको ले जाना है कि जब कंसल्टेंट वीन ऑफ कर जाता है फ्रॉम द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, the managers should be able to handle these things on their own. Okay. The last concept for today is the quality circle. जो मैंने शुरू में ही कहा कि quality circle is the idea of a quality circle basically stems from the fact that जो लोग actually किसी प्रॉब्लम को हैंडल करते हैं, जो लोग एक्चुअली एक कार पे टायर को लगा रहे हैं, मारुति में या होंडा में या हुंडई में, they would know more about fixing the tire to a car rather than the manufacturing general manager, क्योंकि वो रोज नहीं कर रहा है. क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है फील्ड में, वो जो फील्ड में है वही बता सकता है. सेलिंग करते वक्त जो रिटेलर है वो क्या कर रहा है वो सेल्समैन को पता है, ना कि country sales manager. That is the whole idea of quality circle. और इसमें क्या है, as you can see, it is also called a quality control circle. आजकल of course terminology थोड़ा बदल गया, आजकल no one talks of quality control, we talk of quality assurance. Okay, तो फर्क क्या है? क्वालिटी कंट्रोल का कॉन्सेप्ट जो आया था पहले, वो था कि लास्ट स्टेज पे जब गाड़ी बन गई तब उसमें कोई डिफेक्ट है कि नहीं, फैक्ट्री से बाहर जाने से पहले वो डिफेक्ट पकड़ी जानी चाहिए और उसको वापस रीवर्क बोलते हैं टेक्निकली, रीवर्क के लिए भेजना चाहिए. बट ग्रेजुअली द रियलाइजेशन केम, और इसमें मेरा बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग एक्सपीरियंस था जब मैं अपना समर इंटर्नशिप करने गया एस्कॉर्ट्स के मोटरसाइकिल डिवीजन. दिस आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ माय एमबीए डेज. तो दो आई स्टार्टेड माय करियर विद डीसीएम, एस्कॉर्ट्स में बाद में गया, वो भी डिफरेंट डिवीजन इन अ मच मोर सीनियर पोजीशन. तो मेरे समर ट्रेनिंग के दौरान ही वी हैड अ वेरी, दो 8 weeks, but we had a very detailed program for every training. तो उसमें से 3 हफ्ते we were also supposed to, though I was an HR supposed to be trained for HR, but 3 weeks we were supposed to go to every single department to understand the working, even as a trainee, not a management trainee, just a trainee from college. तो उसमें जिस दिन मेरा क्वालिटी कंट्रोल डिपार्टमेंट का था, I had a very interesting experience. So I went and met up with the quality control manager. उसने 15-20 मिनट मुझे समझाया, and then he called one of his senior most inspectors, जो quality control के inspectors होते हैं, and to his room. और typically आप लोगों ने shop floor area अगर देखा हो तो बड़े मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप्स में हमेशा क्या होता है, नीचे तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग चल रही होती है और बीच बीच में पैरेलल इनके ऊपर ऑफिसेज होती हैं और सारा ग्लास का होता है जहां से आप देख सकते हैं कि नीचे फैक्ट्री में क्या चल रहा है, और उसके साथ साथ स्टेयरकेसेस होती हैं नीचे आने के लिए. तो ही कॉल्ड दिस सीनियर इंस्पेक्टर और बोला कि ये सुमित चौधरी आए हुए हैं कॉलेज से और इनको आप पूरा डिपार्टमेंट दिखा दो और कैसे कैसे क्वालिटी कंट्रोल की सारी चीजें हमारी हैं समझा। ठीक है भाई। As we were getting down the staircase with that senior inspector, very with a lot of pride in his statement, he says, पता है चौधरी साहब, कल हमारे यहाँ 160 मोटरसाइकिल बने। This was the motorcycle division, MSD बोलते थे, मोटरसाइकिल एंड स्कूटर डिवीजन। तो 160 में से हमने सिर्फ 120 को जाने दिया। हमारी इतनी तगड़ी कंट्रोल है कि जरा भी इधर उधर हो हम उसको रोक लेते हैं, कस्टमर के पास नहीं पहुंचने देते। Now that time I was a student who was listening to what he was saying. But today when I look back, and that is what the concept of quality assurance is, कि the realization has come कि अगर आपने पूरा प्रोसेस कर दिया और उसके बाद आपने कोई चीज रिजेक्ट कर दिया तो कितना कुछ आपने फालतू कर दिया। इन अ सिंपलिस्टिक वे, अगर आप सड़ी हुई पनीर खरीदते हो या सड़ी हुई चिकन खरीदते हो, उसको आप कितना ही प्रोसेस करो, कितना ही अच्छे क्वालिटी मसाला डालो, कितनी ही मेहनत करो, एंड प्रोडक्ट तो गंदा निकलेगा। दैट मीन्स आपकी जो क्वालिटी चेक है वो रॉ मटेरियल के स्टेज से, हर प्रोसेस के स्टेज से, और बेस्ट ऑफ चिकन बेस्ट ऑफ पनीर भी लेके आप उसको अगर जला देते हैं ड्यूरिंग द प्रोसेस तो भी स्वाद नहीं आएगा सब्जी का। सो दैट इज व्हाट इज सॉरी quality assurance, which means every stage of manufacturing, every stage of the process, you have to have your checks and balances. अब यही सोचो कि 160 मोटरसाइकिल्स में से 40 उसने उसके डिपार्टमेंट ने रिजेक्ट करके वापस भेज दिया, 120 मोटरसाइकिल्स जा पाई। अब इन 40 पे जो में काम होगा उस पे, किसी का पेंट टुकड़ा हुआ है, किसी में ऑयल लीक है, किसी का टायर पंचर है, whatever. Now lot of effort, labor, paint, electricity, machine time, सब कुछ उन पे लगेगा उन 40 को ठीक करने में। Imagine for a moment अगर ये 40 भी परफेक्ट क्वालिटी की बनी होती तो ये जो रीवर्क का जो लेबर है, रीवर्क का जो टाइम है, रीवर्क का जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है, रीवर्क का जो पेंट है, इन सबको मिलाकर के शायद 20 मोटरसाइकिल और बन जाती। तो not only 160 would have been sold that day or gone out of the factory that day, but 20 more would have gone. So 180 चला जाता, उसके बदले आपका 120 जा रहा है, only because you checked at the last stage. तो इस वजह से क्वालिटी सर्कल की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस ये बन जाती है कि जहां पे काम हो रहा है वहीं के 5, 7, 10 लोगों का एक छोटा सा ग्रुप बनाइए, and at least once a week the same problem which I face today you may have faced last week and you may correct me on that. तो वहीं पे निपट गया, उसमें बहुत ज्यादा सीनियर लोगों का टाइम लगाने की जरूरत ही नहीं। So that is the basic concept of a quality circle. It's a people building philosophy based on the premise that an employee doing a particular job is the biggest expert of that field, right? और यही प्रॉब्लम फील्ड में आती है जहां पे आप IAS सबके सिर पे बिठा देते हो जिनको हर चीज की एक्सपीरियंस नहीं होती। आपको एक अपना फील्ड समझने में कितना टाइम लग जाता है। तो आप सोचिए, एक आजकल फार्मास्यूटिकल में था, आज आपने उसको एजुकेशन में घुसा दिया, आज एजुकेशन में, कल आपने पेट्रोलियम में घुसा दिया। वो कितना ही ब्रिलियंट हो, हाउ विल ही और शी पिक अप सो मच? सो दैट इज द आइडिया ऑफ अ क्वालिटी सर्कल। Involve people in solving problems that tap their expertise. Okay. And they analyze and resolve work-related problems. Those of you who are familiar with McGregor's theory X and theory Y, McGregor, इसको पढ़ लेना अगर आप फेमिलियर नहीं हो, मेरे पास अभी टाइम नहीं है समझाने का। द बेसिक एसेंस इज कि थ्योरी वाई में मैग्रेगर ने जितने भी बुरी आदतें थी लोगों में, जो लेजीनेस दिखती है, लैक ऑफ कमिटमेंट दिखती है, वो सारे फीचर्स लिस्ट किए। और थ्योरी वाई में जो उनके पॉजिटिव फीचर्स हैं, दे आर विलिंग टू वर्क, दे आर कमिटेड, दे वांट टू डिजाइन समथिंग गुड एंड दे वांट टू कंट्रीब्यूट एटसेट्रा, वो थ्योरी वाई में है। सो क्वालिटी सर्कल इन अ वे इज थ्योरी वाई application बिकॉज यहाँ पे लोगों की जो नॉलेज है, स्किल है, वो सब उसी जगह पे यूजफुल होती है कंपनी के लिए। सो बाकी ये थोड़ा आपको डिटेल मैंने और दे दिया, बट आई हैव एसेंशियली एक्सप्लेन्ड द कांसेप्ट ऑफ क्वालिटी सर्कल्स। लेट मी सी इफ देयर इज समथिंग एल्स टू बी। ये एक समरी है क्वालिटी सर्कल में, 6-7 पॉइंट आपको ध्यान रखना है, right, which you can go through in detail, because I want to leave 5-7 minutes for any questions that you have. So look at the last line. This is the purpose. Every organization must provide for the participation of the workforce in solving quality problems. Quality problems can be in manufacturing. Quality problems can be in processes, anywhere. Whatever are your standard operations, wherever you get stuck, quality circles can help. Okay, right. So these are the thank you slides, as you know. So if you have any questions, may I ask you in the last 5 minutes? So we've done 4 ideas: sensitivity training, managerial grid, process consultation, and quality circles. Okay. So questions are welcome. आलोक जी, अरुण जी, किसी के पास कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो बता दीजिए। Yeah.
Sir, no question in the chat box right now.
Good question. See, as the name itself indicates, process is a very wide term. तो प्रोसेस कंसल्टेशन का बेसिक पर्पस ये है कि जो आउटसाइड वाला बंदा है, जो ओडी कंसल्टेंट बन के आ रहा है या आ रही है, आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर किस तरह से काम होता है, जिसको एसओपी बोलते हैं, स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर, वो जो कुछ लोग स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोटोकॉल्स भी बोलते हैं, तो आपके यहाँ की जो समझ है कि प्रोसेस आपके यहाँ कैसे होता है, उसकी समझ, दैट इज वन प्रोसेस। दूसरा प्रोसेस उसमें यह आ जाता है कि जब आप एक मैनेजर से बात करते हैं तो वो अपनी डिफिकल्टीज बताता है आपको। वो जब डिफिकल्टीज आपको बताता है, आप उसका साइड सुनते हैं, और वो हमेशा, अगर वो ब्लेम कर रहा है कि मेरे टीम मेंबर्स कोऑपरेट नहीं करते मेरे साथ, जब आप टीम मेंबर्स के जाके पूछते हो कि भाई आपके यहाँ पे इस प्रोसेस में ये कमियां आ रही हैं, तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द रीजन, उनके तरफ से आपको फीडबैक मिलता है कि भाई वो हम बॉस को कुछ बोलते हैं, वो हमारी सुनने को राजी नहीं है। बॉस थिंक्स ही नोज एवरीथिंग। तो ये जो प्रोसेस में आउटवर्डली तो प्रोसेस बना हुआ है, प्रोसीजर में आपका लिखा हुआ है कि भाई टीम मेंबर्स फीडबैक देंगे, बॉस उन फीडबैक को कंसिडर करेगा, बट एवरी बॉस इज नॉट डूइंग दैट। तो आपको वहां पे इन प्रॉब्लम्स को समझने के बाद आपको सजेशन देना है बॉस को कि आप खुद ही कह रहे हैं कि आप उनसे पूरा कोऑपरेशन नहीं ले पा रहे हैं। तो अगर जैसे काम हो रहा है, देयर इज अ सेइंग, यार आइंस्टाइन ने शायद पहली बार कहा था, इफ यू डूइंग द सेम थिंग द सेम वे, यू आर गोइंग टू गेट द सेम रिजल्ट। तो आप जब परेशान हैं कि इस तरह से काम नहीं हो रहा, तो मेरा ये सजेशन है कि आप इस प्रोसेस में इस तरह की चेंज कर दीजिए। आप वीकली मीटिंग कर लीजिए, आप एक क्वालिटी सर्कल बना दीजिए, राइट। इसमें बहुत सारे मेथोडोलॉजीज हैं। अनफॉर्चुनेटली, जैसे एक मेथोडोलॉजी बड़ा फेमस है क्रिएटिविटी एंड इनोवेशन पे, एडवर्ड डी बोनो, 6 थिंकिंग हैट्स का मेथोडोलॉजी, उस पे मैं पूरा ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम कराता हूँ, जनरल मैनेजर्स, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट लेवल पे कराता हूँ, एंड दे फील सो गुड कि यस, दिस वे तो वी कैन गेट टू द बॉटम ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम। और प्रॉब्लम उन्हीं के चॉइस का लेता हूँ, ये नहीं कि मैं बाहर से कोई प्रॉब्लम लेके जाता हूँ, वही प्रॉब्लम चूज करते हैं, उस पे एक प्रोसेस मैं उनको बताता रहता हूँ, स्टेप बाय स्टेप, आप इस स्टेप को करिए, फिर वो डिस्कस करते हैं, फिर वो इस स्टेप को करिए, एंड दे फाइंड अ। सो प्रोसेस कंसल्टेशन का जो की पॉइंट है कि ओडी कंसल्टेंट जाके किसी को डिक्टेट नहीं करता कि आपको ये करना चाहिए। आप ही के प्रोसेसेस को समझ करके, अपनी एक्सपर्टीज को लगा करके, वो जो प्रोसेस यहाँ पे कमी दिख रही है उसको ठीक करने की कोशिश करता है, और फिर खुद बैठ के उस प्रोसेस को इनिशिएट करवाता है। और जब मैनेजर को रिजल्ट मिलने लगते हैं तो तब तक उसको आदत पड़ी गई होती है कि इस तरह से करने से सॉल्व हो। इट इज एग्जैक्टली लाइक अ डॉक्टर जो पेशेंट की सारी सिम्टम्स सुनने के बाद उसको हेल्प करता है टू गेट टू बेटर हेल्थ। एंड अगर बेटर हेल्थ होता है बड़ी अच्छी बात है, नहीं तो वो फिर प्रोसेस को चेंज करता है, दवाई को चेंज करता है। सेम वे हियर, इफ अ पर्टिकुलर प्रोसेस डज नॉट वर्क, we need to replace it by another process. I hope I have been able to explain that, Neha. तो आइडिया इज नॉट टू डिक्टेट, मुझे वहां डिक्टेटर बन के, राजा बन के नहीं डिक्टेट करना, मुझे प्रोसेस को इवॉल्व करना है उनके साथ बैठ के, ताकि उनके प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो सके। इज दैट ओके? यस नो कुछ मिला?